Hugh Jackman. Poetry. Poetry. Poetry? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot I was supposed to be teaching you about poetry. I should be at the front of the room right now. Good thing I can defy the laws of physics. It worked. I knew it would, of course. Today we're going to be talking about rhythm and meter. Enjoy. Rhythm and meter. It's fun, no joke. Seriously, you're gonna love it. First, a few definitions. Foot. Not that thing that goes into socks and shoes, but one stressed and one or more unstressed syllable combinations. In case you've forgotten what a syllable is, it's a chunk of sound that contains one vowel sound and then the surrounding consonants. So for example, my name is Tyler. That's 2 syllables. Maybe you remember from elementary school music or class where you would clap out syllables. Tyler. Well, we're bringing it back. Scansion is what we're working toward with this presentation. Analysis of a poem's rhythm. This is what you'll be doing after we get through all the notes and as you kind of try to put it all together. It'll be fun. Verse. Each line of a poem is called a verse. They vary in length. That's why we only look at them line by line. The length is measured by the number of feet in the line. It's by the number of those combinations of stressed and unstressed syllables. There's several different verse lengths that we could possibly be working with. Most of the prefixes should look familiar. You have 1 foot, manometer. Think of monotone when someone is speaking and not changing their pitch. 2 feet, dimeter. 3 feet, trimeter, like a tricycle, my picture on the right. 4 feet, tetrameter. Any Tetris fans out there? 4-sided blocks, trying to stack them. 5 feet, pentameter or pentameter. That's the 5-sided star down in the corner there that appears on your palm if you've been bitten by a werewolf and you yourself are turning into a werewolf. 6 feet, hexameter. 7 feet, heptameter. 8 feet, octameter. And those are our verse lengths. Now the reason I have pictures of trimeter, tetrameter, pentameter are because those are going to be the 3 most common verse lengths. So those are the 3 prefixes, the 3 verse lengths that you need to memorize. A few examples. Tetrameter first. So remember, we're listening for the stresses. A foot can only have 1 stressed syllable in it. So it makes it really easy. You can just count the stresses. You can figure out how many feet are there. Though old, 1. The thought, 2. And oft, 3. Expressed, 4. Pentameter. When I, 1. Consider, 2. Der how, 3. My light, 4. Is spent, 5. And then octameter. Once upon a midnight dreary while I pondered weak and weary. Now we're moving into the more difficult part. Really, when you put it all together, verse length is actually the second thing that you record. Rhythm is first, but it's just easier sometimes to start with something we're a little more familiar with. So rhythm, I know you've been through some of this in 10th grade English, so hopefully it'll come back to you, but we'll review anyway. So iambic rhythm contains a measure of 2 beats, the first unaccented and the second accented. I have a few examples here. Toot toot. Then we have the actual stress marks, which when you're marking these as you try to figure out what a poem's rhythm and meter are, you'll use these marks. We have the upside down rainbow that looks like a U. Unaccented starts with the U, so that's easy to remember. And then the backslash, which is our mark for stresses. So unstressed, stressed. When you say the words a big, you naturally speak in iambic rhythm. That's why I have a big on here. And then also the heart rate monitor. Our heart's natural rhythm is iambic. Bum 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 bum. Trochaic is the opposite. The first beat this time is accented and the second is unaccented. Toot toot, we have stressed, unstressed marks, and names is going to be the way that hopefully you'll remember this. I have a nice picture of myself there giving the thumbs up. My name is Tyler. Stress on the first syllable, unstress on the second. Most names in English follow this pattern. Bradley, Ryan, Becca, Michael, Kyle. Another way that hopefully you'll be able to remember this is a phrase that we're going to put together for all of our types of rhythm. The first part of it is, it takes two. It takes two. I for iambic, T for trochaic, 2 for the fact that they both have 2 beats. The other 2 types of rhythm we're going to be looking at are anapestic and dactylic. Ah! Like a pterodactyl. Anapestic and dactylic both have 3 beats. So the second part of that phrase I just started, it takes 2, is add 3. Okay? A for anapestic, D for dactylic, they both have 3 beats or 3 syllables. So it takes 2, add 3. Anapestic, the first 2 syllables are unaccented and the last one is accented. Those of you who like Queen and Freddie Mercury are going to get this one very easily because the song We Will Rock You follows this pattern. Puff, puff, bang. Do, do, do. Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got blood on your face. Big disgrace, somebody better put you back in your place. Yep, I just did that. Then we have dactylic, which, just like trochaic and iambic, is going to be the opposite of anapestic. So the first is accented and the second 2 are not. Stressed, unstressed, unstressed. When you say candy cane, you naturally speak with dactylic rhythm. So again, it takes 2, add 3. So here we're going to move into some examples. This first one I'll read first, and then I'd like you to pause the video and try to read it yourself. So iambic rhythm. The sun, that brief December day, rose cheerless over hills of gray, and darkly circled gave at noon a sadder light than waning moon. Please pause the video at this time and try to read this with iambic rhythm. Next is our trochaic example. This time I'd like you to pause the video first and try it first, and then I'll read it with the correct rhythm and you can see if you had it correct or how close you were. Okay, so now I'm going to give it a shot. By the shores of Gitchagumi, by the shining big sea water, stood Nokomis the old woman, pointing with her finger westward. Now obviously I'm stressing it more than you would probably normally would when you're just reading the poem, but that's so that you can hear it a little bit better. Next example is dactylic, so please again pause the video, try to read it, and then go ahead and start it up again and you can check and make sure it sounds like the way I read it. Okay, now I'm going to read it and we'll see how close we were. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. The last line doesn't really fit, but that's pretty good. Anapestic, we will rock you. Has there any old fellow got mixed with the boys? If there has, take him out without making a noise. Okay, go ahead and pause the video again and see if you can read with anapestic rhythm. Oh, that sounded great. Now, here are the steps to approaching rhythm and meter. This is just my personal way of approaching it, and hopefully it'll work for you. I think there are some good steps here. So first, read the poem aloud. Next, count and mark the syllables in the line. Next, use division of 2 or 3 to potentially narrow the rhythm and meter down to 2 out of the 4 rhythms that I talked about before. Why that makes sense is because obviously 1 is hopefully only going to be divisible by 2, or the other is only going to be divisible by 3. So if you count the syllables and you have a line with 9 syllables, you know it can't be iambic or trochaic. Same thing if you count the syllables and you end up with 8 syllables, then you know it can't be dactylic or anapestic. After that, go through and mark the stresses. Remember our hint, 2-syllable words are almost always stressed then unstressed. Finally, try reading it aloud again with different rhythms and see what sounds right. Your ear is smarter than your eyes at this point, so you've got to trust your ears because we can hear this. This kind of allows you to use the process of elimination as well and what sounds better. At this point, go ahead and pause the video and give the first 2 lines here a shot, and when you're finished you can restart the video and I will walk you through those steps I just mentioned, and we'll see how close you were to figuring out the rhythm and the meter. Good luck. Now that you've given it a shot, I'm going to walk you through the steps from the last slide to see how close you were. So the first thing we're going to do is read it aloud. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. Sounds familiar. Next, we'll go through and mark the syllables. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. Okay, 8. Now I give you a second line sometimes to check your work. With rhythm and meter, we only ever look at one line at a time. So I give you the second line just to double check and make sure you're on the right track. Let's see if it fits. Had a wife and couldn't keep her. 8 syllables again, so I feel pretty good about my first line. Next, we use our little bit of math. Remember what I said before about all the lines I give you will always work out evenly. I'm never going to give you some goofy fraction, some syllable hanging on the end. So 8 cannot divide evenly by 3, which means our feet must be 2 syllables or 2 beats long. 8 divided by 2 is 4, which means our meter is tetrameter. Now if I remember our saying, it takes 2, add 3, then I can narrow down the types of rhythm as well. So I know it's got to be it takes 2, iambic or trochaic, since there are 2 beats per foot. Next I'm going to go in and mark the stresses. Now remember our hint is 2-syllable names in English often follow the pattern stressed, unstressed. Same with most 2-syllable words. Right off the bat we have a name, so let's see if it fits that pattern. Peter. Ooh, I like that. So then from here, since we know the pattern is every 2 beats, I should be able to just fill in the rest. Peter, pumpkin eater. Second line just to check. Had a wife and couldn't. Ooh, it fits with my 2-syllable word. I like that. Keep her. So looking at my pattern now, I see it's stressed, unstressed. I know it's iambic or trochaic, then I just have to remember which one's which. Should have come up with trochaic in this case. Now as my final check, if you're really not sure, you can always go back and read it with the opposite rhythm and see how it sounds. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. Nope, I don't like that. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. Sounds good. If you'd like, you can go ahead and try this next example, and there's also a slide with 2 more examples. See what you come up with. Tomorrow in class, we'll go through a few of them together. Good luck. One more thing. Tomorrow, to see if everyone has watched this video, as they should have, when you come in, please say to me, "What up, Master P?" Then I will know you have watched the video. In addition, when you come in, to show me further that you've watched the video, there will be a worksheet on my desk. Come in, grab it right away, sit down at your desk and start working on it and see what you can do. We'll get together soon enough and see who did their homework.